everyone, today we are at Rondy's house and he has a sick Innosilicon A10, what model? What model is this? A10 Pro. A10 Pro. See, there's our man right there. Busy at work. But so today, the middle hashboard on this, it boots up, but then it doesn't want to keep going. So we're going to pull that hashboard out and do a visual inspection on it, see what we find. So here's the offender, the bad hashboard. As you can see on these hashboards, there are 8 segments or modules, if that's the way you want to put it. You got your 3 6-pin powers up top here, your data cable that runs out to your controller, a few caps up here, and other than that, there's like 2 caps here, and that's it. The rest of them aren't even populated. There's this little DC converter sitting right here in the middle. God knows what for, but hopefully I can get in there enough. There's a bad capacitor in there. So what we're going to do, all these 8 hashboards are screwed in here and they're just on a regular double pin connector. So we're going to remove all 8 of these, keep them in the original order, and take a look at them because there's also components underneath these hashboards. There may be more damage than just this one bad capacitor, so we need to examine this whole thing. So we're going to take it apart. And here is the bare backboard PCB for the hashboard itself. A little dusty. The only thing we see still on this is the capacitor itself. There's not anything underneath these boards. But if we look on the bottom side of each one of these modules, we need to do some inspection and some cleaning. And apparently they do have 4 screws, although this one's been kind of beat up. Look at this one. It's been beat up. Yeah. Are they all like that? Yeah, they are all like that. But you can actually take these heat sinks off and repad and repaste each one of these modules. So let me take a look at each one of these, get them cleaned up, make sure there's maybe not a bad module in this whole system. Be back in a minute. Okay, so after Ronnie cleaning up the backplane here, and we got all 8 of the modules off, I've been able to trace how this actually works. You have all your 12 volts coming in through the side here. Each module has its own buck converter to handle the high amperage for the ASIC or whatever it is that's built on there. But there's also a 3.3 volt logic that runs out to all the data ports. And that's what this is connected to. This is a 12 volt to 3.3 volt buck converter that is powering the 3.3 volt logic on all of these. So with this bad capacitor on there, hopefully the inductor is still good, the drop chip, and we just got to replace this capacitor. Something's wrong with it. So let's change this out, reassemble it, and see if we get lucky. Not my best fix because I should have brought my low temp solder paste, but it is connected. Let's repopulate it and put it into the A10 and see if we get lucky. Okay, so Rondy's got to put all back together. Now the hashboard in question that we fixed was the middle one. So Rondy's got Ethernet running down here. He's going to plug it in and we're going to go through the boot sequence and see if the center hashboard wakes up. Go for it, Rondy.
If you got headphones, turn the volume down.
So we get 3 lights. We did get that beforehand. It's after it boots up that it won't wake up. Nope, did not fix it because we have 2 lights here and the center one is still not awake. So we got some more work to do. Okay, so what is this? Like the 3rd try here? We got Rondy. You can see his legs right over here to the side. He brought his A10 back on over with the power supply. Underneath of it is my benchtop power supply set for 3.3 volts at 3 amps. I'm going to give that power in a second. And this way we actually have the communication going to the board. See if it actually wakes it up now. I just got to make sure I get all these cables out of the way so they don't short out on anything. So we're first going to be looking to see if we can get a light up here. I have one of the hashboards behind it. So I got to wait for it to go through the boot cycle and see if they light up at the same time. There we go. Oh my God. We never got that light before. That's good. and it looks like we're trying to get a light on the module. Let's give it a few minutes to see what happens. Yeah, after I unsoldered the inductor and the chip itself, I tried just giving power with nothing onto it, and it was sucking all 3 watts. 3 amps with 3 watts out of it. I'm like, what the heck? And another capacitor shorted out on there too. I had to take that off as well. One of the little tiny... I already removed the one capacitor you said was bad, and found another one. Okay, so you can see all 8 modules are plugged in now. It was nice to see at least this light come on top here, and we were starting to get a light on the one module we have plugged in, but it looks like possibly the control board will not recognize this hash board unless all 8 of them are plugged in. So that's what we're going to try now. We were pulling a slight bit of current from the 3.3 volt line with this one plugged in, but once it went through its boot up sequence, it did not like this hash board. Hopefully it's just because we didn't have all the modules plugged in. So Ronnie's going to plug it in one more time. Let's give it another test and see if we get lucky here. I was pulling about a half an amp, which is about 1.5 watts, off the 3.3 volt line, and you can see before, I'll show the picture, still screen of what we had before. These 4 were lit up, the little green LEDs on the modules, but they're kind of fluctuating a little bit. I think this one was lit up and the rest of these just couldn't get enough power. So I got to look at this circuit down here a little bit more. I am getting 3.3 volts through it, but I'm not getting enough. Something's bottlenecking me. I think I need to remove the rest of the components on here because I think it's screwing it up. So let me do that and we'll try again in a few minutes. Okay, it's actually up and running. I was just being impatient and needed a few more minutes to work. It is hashing. It's getting really hot, so we gotta shut it off here real soon. It's already at 71 C on the screen. I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to see it, but this is board 3 at 27.41 mega hash. It takes a half an hour for these units to get up to full hash rate, but it's working. So we're going to shut it down, let it cool down, and then we're going to fit an aftermarket 3.3 volt controller on it. Okay, so we stripped the board back down, and I put the buck converter underneath here. I kind of started recording beforehand, but thankfully Ronnie took a picture. So here's a picture of a $5 part that fixes this whole board. So I have it plugged in just 12 volts right now through one port so we can have it powered. And let's just see here. You can see the voltage meter, right? Yes, you can. So positive goes right here for your 3.3 and any ground right there. There's your 3.2, close enough. There's a slight adjustment screw right here. Plus, there's no load on this buck converter, so it does have a little bit of a fluctuation going on with it. Basically, we tapped in 12 volts positive and negative right off of the PCIe power right here, ran it on over, input into the buck converter, and we did, since the ground on this buck converter is non-isolated, we didn't even have to use the second ground because everything's got a common ground on it. We just ran the positive 3.3 volt output to where the original 3.3 volt output was, which sends it through all the traces on the board to where it's needed at each module. So let's plug in all this scattered, put it into the Innosilicon A10, and see if it really works as it's supposed to. And there you have it. It's actually up and running again. You can now see all 3 lights are lit. I got plenty of heat coming through here, and I got hash rate on all 3 boards. And just like that, all put back together. All cable managed. I even printed them out some brackets here to hold the power supply on top. He doesn't know that. It's going to be interesting when I drop it back off at him later today. The only thing he still has to do, he has the back cover that goes on here. He has to screw that in, and she's ready to go hash some more ETC blocks. If you like this content, thumbs up, please. Say hi over to Misfit Mining Discord, and I will catch you on the next video.